The latest thing is now horse paste. Horse paste. I said that right. So why horse paste? Let's jump right into it. Horse paste contains ivermectin, which is normally used to treat parasites in humans and livestock, but is now being prescribed by quack doctors and promoted online forums as the latest version of the Trumpian drug hydroxychloroquine, just like they did then.
Why in the world would an individual would want to take a medication for livestock?
Ivermectin can be used to treat parasites like worms and lice in humans, but it's mainly used by vets to deworm livestock.
We typically sell maybe 10 of those a month, but in the past month we've probably sold 50 to 100 of each.
I highly suggest people stop injecting themselves with Ivermax and start injecting themselves with a vaccine, because that's free and that is $300.
The CDC says calls to poison control centers have tripled compared to the number of calls they were getting before the pandemic started.
We're talking about 14 or 15 people who are calling because they may have toxicity as a result of ingesting
ivermectin. It's a drug you probably hadn't heard of until recently.
It's a dewormer. And so in pets, it's used a lot, that we don't have as many worm infections in the United States. But when people travel to other areas that are resource poor, it's approved for treating worms in people too.
Ivermectin is one of the drugs that showed a positive response in labs earlier this year with SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. But testing in humans only just began, and the NIH and FDA specifically say it is not yet approved for prevention or treatment of COVID.
I agree with the NIH's recommendation that it should be done only in a trial where they're really closely monitoring.
UT Health San Antonio epidemiologist Dr. Jason Bowling calls the drug promising, but is worried to hear people are taking ivermectin off label or even taking drugs prescribed to pets.
The problem is that if you were to take the level of ivermectin that they use in these plates in the lab, it's 10 times higher than the dose that's approved for people. Ivermectin is usually well tolerated, but when people have an inflammatory state, like you would with COVID infection, it can potentially cause neurotoxicity, which means it can cause side effects with your central nervous system.
Dr. Bowling said without finishing current clinical trials specific to COVID-19, there's no way to determine safe doses.
This week, the Department of Health reiterated its warning against the use of a drug called ivermectin after people across the United States have been using it to try and treat or even prevent COVID-19. The FDA says it is not approved for that use. It's a drug that's actually used to deworm cows or horses, and it can be dangerous to people, even deadly. Now, according to the CDC, there was a 5-fold increase in reactions from that drug in the month of July. That's across the country. Let's look here in the Sunshine State. The Florida Poison Control posted on Facebook about seeing a spike in adverse cases related to the drug. So far, they've treated 27 patients in the month of August. They say some of these cases that they've seen involved serious side effects like seizures. Joining us this morning to talk more about the drug, Dr. Chirag Patel, the Assistant Chief Medical Officer with UF Health Jacksonville. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So thank you. Ivermectin has been sent to me many a times on social media, people saying, why are you hiding that this drug is the cure for COVID-19? What's the medical explanation for those claims?
So I think those individuals who have been championing ivermectin for COVID treatment really do so in the absence of any well-done clinical trials which support its use. And the very few studies those individuals may reference really include a small number of patients. They're poor and have unvalidated study design. And the doses are much higher than any of the approved indications for ivermectin, which ultimately are going to increase your risk for toxicity and side effects. Because of those reasons, the FDA, the NIH, the World Health Organization, and academic institutions across the world, not just the US, are not recommending ivermectin for COVID management.
Yet doctors are prescribing it. Not all, but we have heard of cases of medical professionals actually prescribing this as a treatment for COVID-19.
That's I think a large part of bad information that's out there. Healthcare workers, in some instances, really trying anything they can to help somebody who is suffering. My message for all of my healthcare colleagues around the country is if you are going to put a patient on something that is not FDA authorized or approved, please ensure that you are having a very matter-of-fact conversation with them about their specific risk versus benefit of taking that medication. And in this case, it's ivermectin.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the side effects that we're seeing? We talked about seizures. What else could happen if you take ivermectin?
Yeah, so some of the more common side effects you see are pretty diffuse rash across your body. You can get itching, you can get swelling of your lymph nodes, your face, your arm, your legs. You can get fever, muscle aches, fast heart rate, low blood pressure. You can even work.
On Wednesday, Florida Poison Control tweeted this warning, saying it has treated 39 people in Florida for exposure to ivermectin, a horse deworming drug. Over at the Sweet Cypress Ranch feed store, owner Al Curry says he's seen a lot more people looking for it lately.
We keep it all the time and stock it, but right now we can't keep it in stock because people are buying it for other purposes. We don't promote it for that other purpose, but obviously the word's gotten out.
That other purpose is people taking it themselves in an attempt to treat their COVID-19 symptoms. Curry says he just tested positive, so he did what a lot of his customers are doing.
I have some ivermectin tubes in my truck, and I know a lot of our customers have been talking how well it worked. I took some ivermectin.
Curry says people are putting the drug into drinks to ingest it.
They mix it in like a small shot glass or something, small jigger of orange juice or something just to carry it and swig it down.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, thousands of people are making the same decision across the country. That prompted Dr. Anthony Fauci to make this statement.
Don't do it. There's no evidence whatsoever that works, and it could potentially have toxicity.
And when I reached out to health officials here in Southwest Florida, they agreed. Not only is ivermectin untested as a treatment for COVID-19, it may be seriously dangerous to your health. The Department of Health in Lee County says there are currently insufficient data to recommend ivermectin for treatment of COVID-19. The Department of Health in Collier County says this medicine can be toxic to humans. And Lee Health Hospitals say we advise people not to do that. But as Curry waits for an appointment to receive monoclonal antibodies, he says he still trusts his improvised treatment.
Well, my guys all said they felt better, and I'm telling you, I felt better today after taking it.
In Lee County, Rob Manch, Fox 4.
So again, the FDA has not approved nor authorized the use of ivermectin to treat COVID-19. Here's what you do need to know about the drug. According to the FDA, ivermectin tablets and topical formulations are approved to treat people with parasitic worms or head lice and skin conditions like rosacea, but they're approved at very specific doses. Ivermectin is not an antiviral medication, which means it was not made for treating viruses. The FDA also says to never use medications intended for animals on yourself. Ivermectin preparations for animals are very different from those approved for people. And if you have a prescription for ivermectin for an FDA-approved use, get it from a legitimate source. And
organizations that encourages people to take ivermectin is America's Frontline Doctors. And they're profiting handsomely off of pushing this drug that is not in any way proven as a preventative measure or a treatment for coronavirus. Let me tell you how they make their money. On the website for America's Frontline Healthcare, or America's Frontline Doctors, people looking for a COVID-19 medicine are told to click on a button labeled "Contact a physician" and pay $90 for a consultation. The link then takes customers to another site, Speak with an MD, where they're asked to submit payment information and told that one of the frontline doctors will call them within a few days. So let's pause for a second. You can go directly to Ask an MD, and they actually charge you less than that $90 fee. So whatever the difference is, America's Frontline Doctors, they pocket that money.
Studied those things. And guys, look at that chloroquine study. 11 dead in 6 days at the higher dosages. So they had to call it off. They're like, oh my God, this kills people, right? You know how people die from ivermectin? Anna just told me this during the break. Look, I know that it's to treat parasites in your intestines, and so at the low dosages, if you have tapeworm, you could use it on humans. In the higher dosages, they use it on cattle and horses, and that's what now a lot of folks are grabbing, and it's making them really sick. Apparently, some of them crap themselves to death.
Yeah.
Because it's cleaning out their intestines, and they're taking too high a dosage, so they crap themselves to death, believing in monsters.
What do you care if you're proven wrong or right at the end of the day if you end up dying because you refuse to do what's been proven to be effective at preventing death because of this virus? What's it going to take? I mean, I don't understand why people will seek out some sort of alternative treatment, be it hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, when we know exactly what's going to prevent you from landing in the ICU or dying from COVID-19, the COVID-19 vaccines. But people they're stubborn, and once they select a belief, they're not going to deviate away from that belief. Part of it is they like, triggering people, owning the libs by not being vaccinated, by sharing anti-vax misinformation. But this isn't about anyone. This is about you. This is about your health of COVID-19. Like this animal that's thousands of pounds, humans are taking that much ivermectin because they were led to believe that it will protect them against COVID-19. Now, there's a lot of origins as to how ivermectin became so popular among the anti-vax community. There's a lot of Facebook groups. There's quack doctors that promote ivermectin as a miracle cure for COVID-19. But what I do know is that the largest news network in America has definitely played a role. Case in point.
Ivermectin, which can and is around the world used to treat and prevent the spread of the coronavirus. It's not some crackpot fish tank cleaner. It's a real drug.
The FDA tweeting, "You are not a horse, you are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it."
Ivermectin is not a recommended treatment for COVID-19. It is not a recommended drug to prevent COVID-19.
Ivermectin.
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 And ivermectin.
Ivermectin.
It's all coming back to some sort of mind control.
Because treating an illness doesn't get your mask on, doesn't get your kids out of school. They don't want to talk about recovery.
Because they're a threat to higher priced medications and vaccines.
And now you have YouTube censoring Senate testimony of Dr. Corey talking about ivermectin.
It's a really important point that you're making because Google's YouTube removed 2 videos.
And there's a good chance everyone listening at home has never heard of ivermectin because Google has gone about censoring.
They took all of those posts down.
We know that our FDA has in many ways failed us by not allowing for the use of ivermectin.
A miracle drug when it comes to treating COVID-19.
I'm not a medical expert. They haven't even given emergency use authorization for ivermectin.
Taken early, it can mitigate symptoms of COVID-19.
This was a bad week for those who made it their business to bash ivermectin.
It's the new McCarthyism.
If it's extremist to wonder about the origins of COVID, if it's extremist to wonder about the utility of masks outdoors, if it's extremist to wonder about ivermectin as a therapeutic drug, then count me as a radical.
Yeah. Now, the reason why Fox News does this is because they can do this and get away with it. There's zero accountability whatsoever. Zero accountability. They don't lose advertisers. Viewers don't get turned off to this misinformation. And they know that this is wrong. Like Fox News is a company that literally has vaccine passports. Every single Fox News pundit that promotes ivermectin, they are required to disclose their vaccination status. They know that the vaccines work and ivermectin doesn't, but they still do this for whatever reason, because they're pandering to their audience who has been led to believe that ivermectin works. But the reason why they do this is because they know they can get away with it. And that's absurd. Like, before you think that I'm advocating for censorship, ask yourself this. What happens if Fox News, like if a Fox News pundit, let's say Tucker Carlson, accidentally swears and says fuck on television? What's going to happen? The FCC is going to fine Fox News thousands of dollars. But yet, when Fox News promotes medical misinformation that leads to people literally shitting out their intestinal linings, what happens? Nothing. Zero fine, zero accountability.
Now more than ever, it's important for Americans to take care of their health. When it comes to protecting yourself against the COVID-19 virus, the FDA-approved vaccine might not be the right choice for patients who are allergic to reality. That's why there's ivermectin, the COVID-19 treatment option for real patriots. With ivermectin, you can say nay to the FDA and take matters into your own hooves. Don't take ivermectin if you plan on driving, operating heavy machinery, or if you're wearing your good pants. Side effects of ivermectin can include uncontrollable vomiting and diarrhea, the inability to pronounce Kamala Harris's name, or a sudden urge to speak to the manager. Some patients taking ivermectin have reported hallucinations of lizard people in the halls of Congress, and in rare cases, finding Joe Rogan's podcast helpful and/or informative. Call your doctor if you begin to experience delusions of grandeur about the supremacy of your race. Homicidal thoughts or actions toward your elected representatives can occur without warning. Join the herd. Talk to your large animal veterinarian about ivermectin today. Or don't, because you're not a f***ing sheep.